Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is CareLevelZero and this is a game designer's take on Disgaea 5 Alliance of Vengeance. We're going to take a quick look to see what's new, what's back, and how the new Disgaea stacks up against its predecessors. Let's get this party started, shall we? At its core, Disgaea 5 remains relatively unchanged from recent additions to the series. Units are recruited and issued onto a grid-based battlefield with a typical goal of annihilating all opposing forces in the most ridiculous and over-the-top fashion imaginable.
Madam Serafina, at this rate they're gonna annihilate us, dude!
I really mean over the top. It's fantastically creative stuff to see. While the core is still classic Disgaea, there have been a number of intelligent improvements made to this entry. Some are intended to spice up the battles, while others are intended as mechanical refinements to make everything flow just a little bit more smoothly. Well, let's start with combat. The biggest addition is the Revenge Gauge, a bar that fills as the unit takes damage or sees allies die. Filling the bar causes the unit to enter the buffed state known as Revenge Mode. This grants a 100% critical hit rate, reduces damage sustained, and cuts the cost of all skills to 1 SP for several turns. Revenge Mode also activates unique specials for Overlords known as Overloads. Yeah, trying to mix those two up. These have very powerful effects such as a wide area charm or simply making yourself very, very big. Not to be outdone, enemies can enter Revenge Mode as well, receiving all the same benefits that you do. On the bright side, killing them in that mode nets you an item that you can use to permanently boost some of your stats. Basic movement received an important tweak at long last. You no longer have to cancel a move in order to adjust where a unit has moved to. Instead, you can simply select the move action again. Admittedly, as a longtime player, I'm having a hell of a time breaking the habit of cancelling, but it does help out a lot if a unit's original position is now occupied by somebody else. The utility gap between monsters and humanoids gets just a little bit smaller with the new Montoss ability, which allows monsters to pick up and immediately throw another unit. In addition, Magichange, while absent from Disgaea D2, has returned in Disgaea 5. This time, not everyone's a damn sword. Units can now be assigned sub-weapons. This primarily gives an easy way for units to swap between two weapon types in the event that they use multiple skill sets. For instance, a healer that carries a bow for offense and a staff for healing. Switching weapons mid-combat is nothing new, but this feature serves to streamline a common action. Streamlining is a common theme in a lot of the changes that have been made in Disgaea 5. Surprisingly, the combo counter no longer requires that attacks share targets. All attacks executed in a batch, regardless of target, contribute to the combo multiplier. Interestingly enough, this means that the Outlaw's ability, which guarantees a 100% hit rate for all attacks in a combo, essentially affects the entire battlefield when he attacks. Not a bad deal. Personally, I'm a little sad to see this change. I really enjoyed setting up complex combinations with a lot of overlapping targets. You'll notice that resistances have changed significantly this time around. There are now resistances associated with every physical weapon type, including monsters. And surprisingly, Star is now considered an element that has its own resistance value as well. This means there's no longer any damage type that is universally effective. This is a minor change, but it's worth noting from a design perspective. Increases in skill and weapon mastery are now indicated during battle. While this doesn't really seem like anything worth noting, it does add a constant minor reward pop to the game's flow, which I appreciate. These masteries also appear to level up more frequently in general than they used to. Some maps now include something known as Netherworld Effect. Similar to geopanel effects, these may reduce accuracy, inflict poison within a broad area, etc., etc. But unlike geopanels, you can't eliminate the effect by destroying anything on the map. You can, however, negate it by summoning your own Netherworld, though this costs you a chunk of your bonus gauge. Speaking of the bonus gauge, it still functions the same as always, though it fills from the bottom now instead of from the top. This time around, you can actually review the specifics of items that are in the bonus gauge before making the effort to get them. Highest tier of the gauge for each map now includes a one-time reward. As the name suggests, you can only get this item the first time you max out the bonus gauge. Thereafter, it'll be replaced by normal loot. The 3 characters that do the most to boost the bonus gauge during a battle will be awarded MVP. This grants them some additional experience points and mana. Just one more way that Disgaea is working to reduce some of the overall grind, even if it's only by a little bit. Your home base this time around is a pocket netherworld owned by Seraphina. The music, though oddly unlike Disgaea, makes for a surprisingly mellow atmosphere and suits Seraphina's little love nest well. Here you'll handle recruitment of your units, accept quests, yeah that's new, do your shopping, and much, much more. Additional story moments outside of combat are handled in conversation scenes similar to the skit system found in the Tales of games. These are optional conversations that serve to flesh out the relationships between characters and teach you a little bit more about them. New units are created via the recruiter. Unlike previous Disgaea titles, recruitment costs hell rather than mana now, which generally means it's easier to get higher tier recruits. As an added bonus, you can spend additional hell to boost their level. Until you have some statisticians under your belt, this is a great way to get new units up to speed fast. But one of the more unusual changes is the way that class progression is handled. Class mastery grows as the unit participates in battle. Once the current class is mastered, the unit automatically promotes to the next tier up on the spot, increasing their aptitudes accordingly. And for some reason, however, these rules don't apply to mages. In order to advance and learn higher tier spells, they need to reincarnate into the promoted class. New to Disgaea 5 are subclasses, and that's not what it sounds like. Rather than adding additional functionality to a unit, it causes all mastery experience to go towards advancing the subclass instead of the unit's actual class. Which sounds a little bit odd at first, but it's a great way to work on classes that you aren't currently using, allowing you to meet criteria for other class unlocks, or simply to max a class out in case you switch to it later on. Since story characters typically have no class of their own, there's no reason not to put them to work unlocking others. Humanoid classes can now learn their own special abilities that are unique to the class rather than just spells and weapon skills. These include new attacks, SP regeneration, and my personal favorite, muscle beams. As far as classes go, the usual menagerie of old favorites returns with a few new additions, such as the Pirate, who deals more damage over greater distances, the Dark Knight, who can steal life and deal splash damage when striking adjacent targets, the Maid with the amazing yandere voice option,
Only look at me!
and bears. Bears with guns. Why the hell not? It's Disgaea. I'll leave the other new classes up to you to discover. No, seriously, after all this work, I still haven't unlocked all of them. Classes now have one unique ability each, instead of allowing you to choose from several. In addition, each character has a number of slots dedicated to what they call common abilities. These can raise stats, boost resistances, improve growth rates, and various other sundry bonuses. Each common ability costs a varying number of slots, and the number of slots available to a unit can grow over the course of the game. While leveling skills in combat will decrease their SP cost, and in the case of spells, increase their range, you'll need to shell out mana at the skill shop if you want to boost their base power, or unlock different area of effect patterns. In the early game, this can be pretty expensive. If you happen to accidentally level a skill up to the point where its cost becomes prohibitive, you can also opt to weaken it by 1 rank for free. Common abilities can also be purchased at the skill shop. While the majority are shared, some are specific to certain classes or characters. There are ways to pass those around, but we'll get to that. In the event that your common abilities outlive their usefulness, you can also use the skill shop to convert them back into mana. The character world from Disgaea 3 returns, but not really. While the character world allows you to improve aptitudes, learn abilities, and boost core stats such as move and critical hit rate, just as it did in Disgaea 3, it plays out very differently now. More importantly, it plays out very quickly. I was able to run 10 characters through in less than 90 minutes. The character world is now a game board that you traverse by rolling dice. The panels you land on have various positive and negative effects. You may be granted items, hell, additional turns, convenient taxi transport, or even stat and aptitude bonuses. On the other hand, you may also find your wallet a bit lighter, your mana drained, or you might be attacked by bears. So be careful where you end up. When you reach the goal, you're granted a single chance to improve your character or teach them new skills and abilities. You can also create scrolls out of some skills and your common abilities so that you can teach them to other units. After choosing your reward, the overall results of the run will be tallied and displayed. Every successful trip through the character world will increase the mana cost of the next trip, but that cost is reset with every reincarnation. Disgaea 5 offers a squad system that's not entirely dissimilar from Disgaea 3's club system. Units can be assigned to squads in order to net special bonuses, such as sharing the XP or mana earned by the squad leader, enabling the capture of prisoners in their interrogation, or simply providing stat bonuses to all members. With the right squad, you can even start cooking curry. As a further bonus to Revenge mode, squad leaders gain a special attack that allows them to attack all members of an opposing squad with all members of their own. This can actually deal some pretty significant damage to enemies that aren't even within your current range. Your squads can be upgraded to provide better boosts or allow more members to be assigned to them. This is done by using prisoners to support the squad, which really just turns prisoners into a consumable resource. The prisoners themselves can be gained by using members of the capture squad, through netherworld research parties, or simply by completing missions and having your enemies surrender. In addition to supporting squads, prisoners have a few other uses. They can be converted into citizens, you can extract power from them, or they can be turned into units of your own. In order to do either of the latter two options, though, prisoners must first be interrogated by a member of the interrogation squad until they have no SP remaining. Prisoners in that state also provide bonus XP to squads when consumed for support, so it's well worth your time to stay up on your interrogations. With a small boost to the interrogation squad, you can actually interrogate all of your prisoners at once. Research is another new feature of Disgaea 5. If you need something for your unused units to do, you can always send them off to locate and research other netherworlds. They might discover new items, bring back prisoners, locate overlords, or accidentally destroy entire netherworlds like mine do. All you have to do is assign some researchers, send them on their way, and wait for them to finish wreaking whatever havoc they may get up to. After you've completed enough battles, your team will come back and you can read the full report of what they've accomplished in that time.
This is boring, dude.
I mentioned earlier that one of your squads allows you to cook curry. Well, an army marches on its stomach and Disgaea 5 allows you to feed that army with curry. You can select from a pre-existing menu, or you can create your own from whatever unusual ingredients you can muster. The benefits of the curry, which include stat boosts and similar bonuses, last throughout the next battle. Quests, while a common concept in most RPGs, are actually new to the Disgaea series. They include a fairly standard array of objectives such as kill counts, mission clears, item deliveries, and achieving specific levels of class mastery. For this, you can receive skill scrolls, hell, items, even class unlocks. While you can only take 10 quests at once, typically only the kill and mission clear quests require that you actually take the quest before accomplishing the goal. For the other types, you can take them once you've met the requirements and then immediately turn them into save space. The item world is back in all its grindalicious glory, and I really do mean that in the best possible way. There are a few key changes worth noting this time around, though. Levels are no longer gained simply by advancing from one floor to the next. Instead, they're generally tied into the bonus gauge. Killing everything on the floor will net you 1 level, and if you're lucky, more than that. Initially, you'll see those levels at the 0 and 9 markers on the gauge. In addition, bonus targets of varying nature may be dropped onto the floor from time to time. These include highly defensive bottle mail that contains items, lucky boards that can grant items, XP or mana, or the occasional Proto-Dark Death Evil Man. Yeah, have fun with that one. The floors themselves are generally smaller in size, and geopanels, much as with the rest of the game, are a bit less prevalent than they used to be. At the time of this recording, I feel the progression in the item world moves at a fairly steady pace. We'll see how I feel after I've had to cover a few thousand floors. Speaking of items, there are actually a number of new item types added to the lineup. There are now throwing items, which are ranged consumables that can heal or deal damage based on different stats, and these are great for the maids, who can use one and then still attack within the same turn. There are fillers, which you drink to just increase the bonus gauge, making it a lot easier to hit those one-time rewards. There are divers that allow you to skip down several floors in the item world. Dice have a variety of effects in the character world, such as guaranteeing specific roll results or improving your combat capabilities. Ability scrolls can be used to teach a character common abilities. Skill scrolls similarly are used to teach a character new skills. And shards grant permanent stat boosts. You can also now mark items as favorites, which is extremely useful if you're in the habit of swapping around certain pieces of gear frequently. Now of course you can't talk about items without talking about Innocence, the stat boosting effect inducing inhabitants of your items. In another move designed to make the game generally more convenient, you can review what Innocence do directly from the item menu now. You can even move unsubdued Innocence between items, though you can't fuse them down until they've been subdued. This makes it a lot easier to unload your spare items, which is fantastic when you consider that the item assembly now uses a special currency that you receive by converting unwanted items into points. This also means that before you dive into an item, you can move a bunch of Innocence onto it that you'd like to subdue along the way. On the topic of convenience, the cheat shop from Disgaea D2 returns. It has a few less pages worth of options, but the big ones are still there, such as the ability to tweak the amount of XP, mana, and mastery you receive. The degree to which those values can be manipulated will increase over the course of the game as before. Naturally, the assembly returns for more bribery and game-altering builds with a very galactic aesthetic this time around.
Let me thank you.
A number of the classic builds return as well, along with some new ones designed to make life a little bit easier, such as tripling all XP on the next map, not just the first guy you kill, doubling all mana received, or funneling all the experience points to a single unit on a map. Hell, you can even pass a build and net yourself a trophy. I have to say, even after spending 60 hours with the game, I've only barely scratched the surface of what it has to offer. You can create custom maps, customize your netherworld's appearance, change the interior of the pocket netherworld, and I'm sure there's way more that I still haven't even seen yet. Like all Disgaea games, this one offers an incredible amount of bang for buck, even if you don't delve into the typically insane post-game content the series offers up. From an overall, the story is solid. It's not up to the bar set by Disgaea 1, but to be fair, I don't really feel that any Disgaea game has ever quite matched the story and characters of the first, but D5 does an admirable job of following in its footsteps. Mechanically, the game is definitely a strong entry into the series. Visually, the art is clean, vibrant, and Takehito Harada's character designs are still wonderfully on point. This game designer's final take? Disgaea 5 delivers the classic lunatic gameplay that is the series' hallmark, while continuing its trend of mechanical refinement and added conveniences, making it a welcome addition for veterans and newcomers alike. Did I mention that it is fantastically over the top?